how's it going? My name is Dr. Christian Mullin. I'm from Virginia Beach. And
I'm Dr. Tanya Mullin, also from Virginia Beach.
This is my second Super Dentist Boost Camp, and I brought my lovely wife to me this year. I think one thing that's really special about this time specifically is Paul's detail about unreasonable hospitality. I think that's a huge takeaway from this weekend. He's done an amazing job making all people feel really special, and it's just been overall a really, really good experience with a ton of actionable insights for Monday.
What I think is very special about this event compared to other dental events is the focus on making connections and how intentional everything is about connecting you with somebody else that may be able to help you, and how much thought was going into creating the schedule and the speakers. It was created in a way where everything's been captivating, and I'm learning something from every single lecturer. So it's been so much fun as well.
So Dr. Christian Mullin, we're going to talk about many things, but you've been to 2 Super Dentist Boost Camp, and in a totally self-interested but kindly annoying way for our community, why should someone spend the money, the time, and the energy to go to the next Super Dentist Boost Camp?
Oh, it's good to be here, Paul. Thanks for having me on. Gosh, Super Dentist Boost Camp is really, you learn not only clinical skills, but also skills you weren't expecting to learn. Yeah. So from like that last boost camp, the theme was unreasonable hospitality by, what was it, Gadara? What's his name?
Will Gadara, yeah.
And I was expecting to go for the clinical stuff. And what I actually learned was, okay, that's really cool. And then DSI and Mark talked about the power of moments. And so I got kind of into this sort of customer service like rabbit hole after that. So you come out with different things than you have an expectation going in, and then you come out with something completely different, but just as amazing. And just the connections, I think that, in-person CE is it's just so helpful in just creating connections, because dentistry is a lonely place, or it can be. I think that community is built, it's not given to you. And so the only way to build community is to surround yourself with other nerdy dentists,
I love that, Christian. I mean, you're been such a great role model from your early days to your still early days. But, I remember standing at the Dental Success Summit, meeting you and Dave a few years ago. And there's no Zoom that can have you have a mocktail, cocktail, coffee, decaf coffee. I know you've changed some of what I don't think you're into caffeine right now. So I'll say decaf coffee.
I had 400 milligrams of caffeine this morning.
Okay, good. Well, I'm glad you're still
back on the caffeine train.
So that Mark talks about that, you learn just as much off stage as you learn on stage. And now with the ability to consume content online that's technical, I'd say you learn more off stage than you do on stage, right?
I agree with you for sure.
And, you get to have these, I was just talking with my team about situational leadership from my coaches. You get to learn about situational problem solving when you're like, I got a great hygienist who's great with patients, but she can't show up on time. Would you fire her, Christian? Like, no, I would not fire her. Hygienists don't grow on trees, but I would put them on a performance improvement plan. And I didn't even know what a performance improvement plan was until someone told me what that was. And so I just think that's the magic of going to in-person CE. And it's, just like you're exercising while we're doing this, exercise is not a one-note thing. You're also, is it Pankey that you're a big fan of doing too?
Yeah. I teach with them.
And I think that it's the dosage, Boost Camp gives the ability to taste test so many different speakers and topics and time, and then dig into what you want. Our sponsor, Clinical Mastery, John Nasti spoke, and you can dig in more to that. So I appreciate you sharing. Before we get started about your associate interview, Dentist Job Connect here. We are bonding dentists together to share in the joy of full contact arts and crafts on people who do not want to be there or pay for it. That is my take on dentisting. And we really love making impact. We do one thing to solve the problem for 2 people, Christian, a practice owner who needs to fuel growth, freedom, and fewer hygiene checks, and an associate dentist who needs to not be unemployed. So that is what we do at Dentist Job Connect. So before we start asking you about you, I know you are a Dental Success Institute member and you know Dr. Addison Killeen. Why would you enter to win his book series? What have you learned from Addison over the years, whether it's on stage, off stage, or at DSI events?
Okay, so this is so funny that you just said this because I was just texting Addison, and I'm sending my office manager to his basically course at his practice to see how he does things. He's just a the first word that came to mind is luminary. He's just a very like logical human that can break down problems in a really systematic way that just makes sense. And he's an incredible teacher. And so, yeah, just a very, very good asset. I have, I think, probably 5 of those books.
You know what I always say is you always feel smarter when you have a manual, even if you don't read the manual, but it's even better when you read the manual. And what he's done is he's just in a spectacular way created this segmental learning where, you know, if I'm looking at this image and you have an associate dentist looking for another associate dentist, you can pick that up before you hire one. But some people are struggling with marketing. And I do think that there's too many manuals that try to do too much in one manual and you get nothing out of it. So it's great when you just pick up the operations manual and do that. So if you would like to enter to win this, text GROW to 215-798-9897. So I'm introducing my friend, someone I admire, Dr. Christian, who's doing the work while he's doing the work because he's on a walking treadmill. I want to get one again too while we're here. So before we dig into what you're looking for your practice, I like the 2-minute drill. Kind of tell us the 2-minute drill of you. You could start now and go back. You could start from the day you started with D1. Tell us the 2 minutes of Christian.
Well, 30-second opening. My name is Christian Mullin. I own Shore Smiles in Virginia Beach, Virginia. We're a comprehensive technology forward practice built around our mission statement is where education, family, and technology grow together. And long story short, trying to help people just become better versions of themselves. I think that a lot of times people live to work. We are the opposite. I want you to have a life because you have our practice and the flexibility of what that looks like. And we try to really pour into people. Stole that from Matt Slivka and just kind of all the resources that we have in DSI. But we've grown to the point basically where demand and opportunity are exceeding my personal clinical capacity, and same with my associates. So basically just looking for someone who wants to, you know, who wants more than just a place to produce. Production's important, but I think what you'll notice at our practice, if you come and visit, is it just feels different. It's not really a tangible thing, but you just feel it. We just hired a new hygienist that worked at a previous DSO, and she gave me a cleaning today, and I said, "Hey, how is it? How's it going so far?" And she says, "I don't know how to describe it, but it's amazing." And
well, I want to add a couple things. You've shared a few things, and even in the beginning, I think I said this on a podcast with Mark, dentistry is a lonely place, even though you're surrounded by people all the time. Yeah. And I've shared that my most stressful days was being a solo GP at our satellite practice because hygienists hung out with each other, assistants with each other. I was just the only dentist there. So why it's valuable to have a dentist, you have someone who thinks like you, because us dentists are unique people. But I did some videos on, do you want to walk into work? And this is not for dentists, and that sounds like your hygienist now wants to walk into work, right? And that is a feeling that you can't pay for, you can't raise for, you can't 401k for, that when someone gets out of their car, out of their Uber, walks down and walks into where they work, and this has everything and nothing to do with dentistry, do they want to walk into work? And that's where I strive to create through my different businesses and dental practices, going with the assumption we all have to work, right? We can't lay around like our golden doodles all day and get paid to do nothing. So I love that. We're going to get into a lot of things, but I wish sooner in my life I had become a Dental Success Institute member. Back in the olden days, Christian, even when I was your age, no one talked about step counts, tracking protein, all of these things. We didn't have the data to make decisions on our
Yeah.
exercise or practices. So I was someone who invested in people coaching, but I didn't invest in profitability coaching. And I was making excuses for, oh, we take this insurance with this 50% write-off, it's fine. And it was not until I met the Dental Success Institute in 2019 that I really dug into that. So you have had the opportunity, pretty much thanks to me, so I could to know about this earlier, right, on Nachos. So why would you tell someone, hey, even though it costs money, even though it costs time, even though you think you're a practice owner that can't afford it, what would you tell them about how the Dental Success Institute has impacted you in your life?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's hard to kind of pinpoint, DSI as creating the sort of success that we had. It's not exclusively because of that. It's probably a combination of a lot of things, but it's certainly had a large impact on kind of where I am and the decisions that I've made, and being surrounded by people that have done what you're trying to do. I think Tony Robbins says this. He says, success leaves clues.
Yeah.
And so go and, look at what you want, whatever that looks like. Maybe it's time freedom. Maybe it's financial freedom. Maybe it's, hey, I don't want to be in the chair anymore. Or maybe I do love being in the chair, but I want to go more of a fee for service situation and be more boutique practice. Every single one of those avatars exists in DSI. And so you have the ability to kind of what we were talking about earlier. You can kind of go, say we're at a conference, you can go find that person.
Yeah.
And then you can say, hey, help. You know what I mean?
And also you're so wise to say this. What I shared in the last Boost Camp with the recordings, it's like, I think of Jason Tenori, my friend from dental school, as, one of the most amazing people that I've met, right? And I'm just in awe. And Jason has 8 practices, okay? And his revenue is 20 million plus a year. Yep. And some people couldn't imagine anyone bigger than that. But when he got off stage from Boost Camp, Christian, Yahya Mansour and Sam got on stage, and they have 50 practices that span multiple states, right? So they have 50 practice problems, and Jason has 8 practice problems, and I have 2 practice problems, and you have 1 associate challenges. And when you put yourself in a room that says, oh my gosh, my first associate isn't coming on time, someone with 10 associates said, I've been there, done that, here's what you have to do. You conversation, and they're going to get on board, or they might not be a fit for your culture. And that's a priceless thing in life, to sit at a lunch with people who've had the next problem up for you, and it's no big deal to them, right? It's no big deal, right?
Going off of that, I think though, the caveat to this is like DSI is incredible. I credit a lot of my success in because of them, but coaching in general, right? But here's what I will say: not all coaches are created equal, and it's nice to have wet finger dentists that are also giving advice, because they're in the trenches. They're sharing with you their real life experience, not from sort of the pulpit or kind of above.
Yeah. I like sense. All of this, and I want to echo it, but is this the first time you've met me? I'm the word guy. Remember, don't say fail, say replace. Stop saying wet finger dentist. It's the grossest term I've ever heard. I don't know why people say this about us, okay? How about
I just prepped the bridge on Monday.
Doing chair side work, okay?
Just kidding. I said I just prepped the bridge on Monday. Sorry, Paul.
Yeah, don't do it. So I love to share this. Now let's dig into some details as we unpack a Tenori term. And I'm just a big explaining it to you like a 6-year-old. So you purchased a practice that was doing like 1.1 million, and you were working it by yourself, right?
Yep. And
you grew it to like 1.8 million, and then you hired an associate.
Correct.
And our video was helpful for that back in the day.
Yeah.
I know. So. And this associate's been with you for how many years?
2.5.
2.5. And now you're looking to add to your team with purpose. So just so I'm a big clarity in communities, you're looking to hire an associate dentist full-time to work 4 days a week with a significant guarantee, 30% of collections. You are a standout in the $10,000 annual C allowance. Why is that so important to you?
Yeah, that's a great question. A lot of people ask that question.
The way it works. I like it. Yeah.
So for me, I go back to compound. CE is like a superpower because once you learn it, you don't unlearn it. As Maya, what is it? Ben Kakis gave this quote from Maya Angelou, and it's once you know better, do better. There are certain things that once you learn this style of dentistry, more of like a comprehensive approach, you just can't not say something to the patient, and what that creates. And it's never a pressure situation. It's more of just a, hey, this is what I see. Ultimately, you get to make a decision on what you do. But what I have found is when I invest in people, not only does it make them better, more fulfilled, but ultimately more patients get taken care of. They end up making more money and the practice does well. It's a win-win-win for everyone. And so at the end of the day, CE is super important to me. I spent my first 5 years, $15,000 to $20,000 every year. And I mean, it's changed the trajectory of my career for sure.
I love this. I want to interject. I don't interject with gold, and I don't interrupt, but I just want to add to this conversation. So we just talked about you want to create an environment for people with you where they want to walk into work. Okay.
Yeah.
But now I want to distill this down to the dentist, and, Lincoln Harris, another amazing friend and Ripe Global sponsor, gave a course in Philly. And my takeaway from it was like, not being comfortable in the operatory is one of the worst feelings ever. Okay.
Yeah, that's true.
Because Seinfeld tells a joke, when you're in the shower, you have to solve all the problems yourself, right? So like, no, you can't call someone in and be like, so in the operatory, as the dentist, you have to solve the problems yourself with the help of your dental assistant. But whether you own 20 practices, a 2-hour practice, you're in the operatory, and there's no worse feeling than not being comfortable making decisions. And what I found with CE is, it's not necessarily being comfortable finding MB2, okay, or centric relation, which is clearly made up, right? So it's being comfortable with saying, hey, patient, the level of the problem that you have is one that we collaborate with specialists on, because I have done the work in analyzing this problem. And yours, I mean, I'm using a Coyce thing, right? Yours is like a red, and green's easy, and red's, red's hard. And I know I'm like, rambling, but that's what C does for you. People think, is it going to make me produce more? And it may, and it can, but what it does is it makes you feel more confident making decisions in the operatory, which is priceless.
And that might be saying no.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, that's a fact without question.
I mean, I want to add this in here as we talk. You talk about Ben Kakos, and some people, I did a 3-year general practice residency, and people think that was wild. And people just think I was never a dentist. Like, I sprouted up out of Facebook Cabbage Patch Land in 2018. But spoiler, I had a whole life from 1977 to 2017. So I did a 3-year general practice residency. So that was a huge investment in continuing education. Okay, huge investment. And I learned case selection. So my dad's partner gave me broken down teeth to take out on a 40-year-old and did not show me the extra. So I walked in with 2 hours, broken down teeth, and I knew from my experience of taking out so many teeth that these were not for me. I knew it. But now they're sitting there. So I said to the patient back in the mid 2000s, hey, I know you're here, but I'm actually going to call the oral surgeon right now, because the level of complexity here is beyond what I can do comfortably. But we got him in with an oral surgeon. So he went to the oral surgeon, Christian. I don't know, maybe this is 3, 4, 5, right? Broken down. And I actually felt bad. So I called him that night, left a message on his answering machine, and said, hey, this is Dr. Paul. I want to know how it goes. He calls me back the next day. Sorry, I didn't call you back. I was in bed. It took that oral surgeon almost like 2 hours to get them out. And see, I said no, right?
That's great. That's
because
awesome.
I knew how difficult it was. So I want to ask you a question that has everything to do with this and nothing. Ben Kakos said to me, Ben Kakos, Super GP, apparently there's a CDT code for wrestling an alligator, because he does that in Louisiana. He's a Super GP who trains Super GPs. And I'll tell you this answer, but I want to get your idea. He said to me when we did this video, Paul, I regret not doing a GPR. This is somebody who produces over 7 figures. This is somebody who does high level clinic. He goes, I regret not doing a GPR. If I went back, I would do a GPR. This is someone who's financially successful. Why do you think he said that?
I mean, coming from someone, I did an AGD or 1 year AGD at East Carolina, and you know, you had the confidence of someone right there that has your back, and you have time in the world. You don't have hygiene checks. You're learning really complicated things. You know, I remember I did a root canal on a 6-year-old with no sedation. So that was, now I don't do root canals. So it gives you sort of this ability to take on way more challenging cases than you would traditionally do. The way I like to describe it is I played soccer growing up and through college. And one of the reasons that I'm a pretty large soccer player. I'm not like a normal, normally like a center mid is smaller. And my foot skills were good for my size. And the reason that happened was because I played up 2 or 3 years up, because the kids were bigger and it was harder, but I learned way quicker. And so when I played people my age, I was like, okay, I got this. Like, this is great. Because I challenged myself I didn't challenge myself. My parents did. Yeah. They said, hey, if you play up, it's going to be easier when you play down to your age level. So I kind of view it the same way where, you know, if you take on harder cases, you're going to not only know, hey, this is not a case this is a red case for me. This is not a green case. And also it might give you opportunities to take on yellow cases by yourself when previously you would not be able to do that. And
yellow cases, you know, I say, and this is, it lets you learn from bigger, stronger people, because yellow cases, my desire to take on a yellow case in private practice was 97% related to the patient's personality. Right?
That's that's still true.
So, I got a cool, easygoing guy and or female, and they're easygoing, and like, I'll take on this yellow case. Yeah. I got someone ask me, are we done yet before they sit down? Out to the specialist, right?
Yes.
So, and Ben's answer to this, and it was a good one, is, so this is a guy who's financially successful, trained super GPs, saying, I wish I did a GPR because he regrets not accelerating his learning earlier in his career. Because if you try to do it all through CE, it's hard to get the reps that you can get AGD GPR with foundational, we'll call it footwork maybe, right? Foundational stuff. So when people go, oh, I can go to a GPR, I'm a CE course for implants. I'm like, but if you don't really know how to extract teeth, like placing 4 implants is not going to translate back into yours. So it's foundational knowledge and confidence. So I love you to share that. Now, back to your position.
Yeah.
You've added things in here like long-term equity, right? So tell us what that means to you. If someone's an associate and saying, hey, Christian, I don't know if I want to own a practice, maybe I want a practice, but you're saying there's the opportunity to discuss this. What's that mean to you?
Yeah. So basically what we're looking for is, number one, a partnership is more of like a marriage, right? You have to be good with this person for 20 plus 25 years, right? And I am cautious about a partnership idea because, you know, I took out a big loan in 2022 I wasn't sure if it was the right move or not. I remember Jonathan Miller, he was like, dude, you need to do this. And I'm glad he did and pushed me because, you know, we're at a place where we are now, but earned equity for us, basically what that means is after about 18 months, we will create something that is based on, say you produce $800,000. Anything over $800,000, you would get a percentage of. The advantage of something like this would be that you wouldn't have to take out any money or a loan. And especially a lot of new grads, I mean, people are coming out with $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 in loans. My assistant just entered to NYU, so in 4 years. So long story short, it's a big expense nowadays. And long story short, you wanted to give the ability to allow associates to have a financial upside without all of the really the downsides of ownership. And so like from a leadership standpoint, like I have all the hard conversations. You don't have to do that.
Yeah.
Which is super fun, by the way. So what it allows for you to do is just say the goal is $800,000 and they produce $1 million. There's a $200,000 spread. You get paid not only your collections, but you are rewarded, say, call it 20%. You get 20% of that difference. So $200,000, 20% of 200,000 is what? $40,000. So there's a vesting period of about 5 years. So you have year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5. And after that time, all of that excess money is put in basically a savings account. And you can basically cash out at the end of the 5 years. But it allows you to basically earn money that you didn't actually need to buy into per se. You didn't need a loan for, but you get that money if you choose to do that.
I think it's an awesome opportunity. I mean, this is like, that like cliche, like it's not my parents', technology or not. Like practice ownership doesn't have to look like the 1980s, right? Whether it's
Sure.
Christian Mullin, all these people, there's opportunities to be involved with practice ownership that don't require you docu-signing on the dotted lines. No more dotted lines anymore. That's kind of docu-signing on the dotted lines for 7 figures of loans, but also not only being a highly paid on your production, which comes with pros and cons. And I think that's a very cool opportunity for associates to have on the table. And it sounds like it's a flexible opportunity in terms of both time, scope, and commitment.
Yeah. And so again, it's kind of like the first dating period, right? It's 18 months. And why is it not the start? Because I don't know you and you don't know me, and we don't know if we're a good fit together, right? And so you don't want to commit to something where you're not 100% sure, hey, this is definitely the right place for me. And they're definitely a good fit for our culture and our practice. I think you said something, this is years ago, and I think you say it still, money, culture, mentorship.
Yeah, money, morale, mentorship. Yep, you remember well. Money, morale, mentorship, and I've added it. I'm glad. Thanks for. I've added making a difference as it's like your associates want money, morale, mentorship, and the ability to make a difference, and that difference could be in their own lives. It could be in the lives of patients. It could be in the lives of the community, and you can frame that in however you in a way that fits them. So I'd say, and this is what we're going to do is talk to you like. And now we can kind of jump off this. But I have a question before we start. It's a yes/no answer. I don't want anything but a yes/no to this, Christian. Okay. Were you satisfied with the U.S. men's performance in the World Cup?
No.
Yeah, I was not either, but I didn't know much about soccer, yes. So let's go through some of these check boxes or these bullet points. Where are you located?
Virginia Beach, Virginia. It is the southeastern tip of Virginia, about 30 minutes from North Carolina. It's about an hour and a half from Outer Banks, 2 hours from Richmond, 4 hours from D.C.
Awesome. And not too far from us here in Philly. I know you drive up to see us, or you drive or fly to see us? You drive or fly to see us?
It depends on the year.
Gotcha. The money, what's the money opportunity? I know we have $350,000 earning potential, maybe the guarantee. Just frame the money part for us. Yeah.
So it's, it's from I call it $200,000 to $350,000.
Nice. That's good.
Why such a big range? The range is based on really specialty procedures and what you're able to do. I would be surprised if you would be able to get to $325,000 doing crowns and bridges and fillings. That would be surprising to me.
Yeah.
You would have to be ultra efficient to do that. The way to basically get there would likely to be adding specialty procedures like extractions, grafts, implants, endo. Those are kind of the big opportunities in our practice. I place
and endo stands out to me from the edge. So that sounds like, are you referring enough out where you say, hey, we're referring 10 cases a month, and if you could do 5, that's a great opportunity.
Way more than that. Like 100. Let's see. I think it's 200 cases last year we referred for endo. I want to say it was between 180 and 200 of endo, 180 to 200 of extraction. So I mean, if you like those two things and are competent in those, that would be a huge opportunity for
And just
whoever
as somebody who
finds this.
got someone who on the other end of this with my amazing dad, you know, he would say, "Oh, my son did a multi-year general practice residency. He takes out teeth here." My dad still took out some teeth, but it was a talking point for the owner to get buy-in, a popular term, from patients. Because you know what people hate more than a dentist, Christian? Having to leave to go to another dentist, okay?
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean to do a procedure that's not going to turn out well because you don't have the skill set. But if you can say, oh, these two extractions can be handled here by our associate dentist, they quickly change to, I'm okay seeing the new dentist now, right?
Yeah. No, that's so valid. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I do a lot of TMD, and I'd like to shift more into sort of that side of things, like oral facial pain, full mouth reconstructions, functional rehabs. My associate does crown bridges, fillings, and a little bit of TMD as well. The opportunity for sure lies in root canals mostly, because I do some surgery, and I do some implants. I do very easy implants. Sometimes, I take on a yellow case if I'm.
Why is it? Just so people know, because people watch this. Tomorrow you have to place an implant at a number 30 site that's straightforward, but you would do that, but refer the root canal. Why not? Why didn't you just learn molar root canals, Christian? Why don't you do molar root canals?
I mean, I just don't like them.
and you don't like them because of this. So when people say this, I'll pull acronym LOP, lack of predictability. Implants are super predictable. Is there enough bone? Not enough bone? Here's my giant post. We're done, right? The predictability of implants, placing it is high. And predictability doesn't mean easy, but people are like, oh, there's so many complications with implants. Right? Here's the complications: bone or no bone. That's
the fact.
But we have an endodontist that comes to our practice, and this has always amazed me. They would knock out 6 cases with ease, and a 7 case would get stuck on. And when you're a practice owner running the practice, leading the team, doing the things, your procedures must be predictable.
That's a very good point. Like, I like really easy I like less patients on my schedule if possible, to be able to handle the back end stuff that needs to be handled. We have an amazing leadership team, but there are still things that I just need to be present for to handle.
And to frame it up for the associate, if the associate can responsibly choose cases, they can spend extra time getting a tooth out. Being able to do extractions doesn't mean that you never run into a challenge. It just means that if you went 30 minutes overtime on a procedure, the fallout we're not supposed to spend more time, right? But an associate dentist who might have an extraction put in before lunch, just in this example, you guys might not have a lunch. I know it's very popular not to have lunch anymore. Okay, nobody has lunch. I like lunch. I've always liked it, but I'm
a lunch. Yes, I'm a lunch.
I'm using this example. I'm at my practice. I'm the practice owner. I have my associate, Dr. S. There's an extraction from 11:30 to 12:30 before lunch.
Sure.
If she's handling that and she runs 15 minutes behind schedule, that is a small problem compared to me, which is a bigger problem.
Correct. Yeah. And I think that at the end of the day, going back to the mentorship, money, morale, for how I would rank that for our practice would be morale. Our culture is insanely good. And if you've worked literally anywhere, you will see that when you come into our practice. We have a high accountability culture. I learned a lot of that from the DSI situation. The second one would be mentorship. Again, I teach at the Pankey Institute on digital dentistry. We have exocad and 3Shape, 3D printers and mills. And lastly would be money. I think you can still make a really good living. Our associate makes over $200,000. And long story short, that's kind of the person that we're looking for. Someone who's curious, who's not necessarily afraid to fail, but views failing as a learning opportunity. And, ideally likes endo, but it's not a make it or break it situation. We average 70 new patients a month, and That's for 2 doctors, so it's 35 a piece, and we've been above 80 before, and that's just been too much for us. So we definitely have the ability to increase that. We're in a very favorable demographic situation, and our patients are very grateful and not super how do you say it? Like pretentious?
High maintenance?
Yeah.
Medium, high, or low maintenance. And, I think that's a really good way
We are a low maintenance patient population that just feels like family. And you'll definitely see that. It's weird. We're in Virginia Beach, which has 1.8 million people, but it feels like a rural town at some points.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, what you've grown to be proud of, like I said, be proud of yourself. I also want to share, you have to come back to Boost Camp because you've forgotten some of my word choice. We don't fail. Things just go off script.
That's why I said opportunity. That's why I said view it as an opportunity.
but what I share is, and I say this with meaning.
Yeah.
And because I'm into this, right? Things can fail, right? But a lot of times we say failure when really things have gone off script. We say failure. True. So the two should be different, right? And an associate who's willing to have things go off script and learn, right? Willing to have things.
Love it.
And there can be failures. It doesn't mean failure I just think failure is overused as a term, right?
That's a fair point.
It should be used probably 50% less than us dentists use it in our areas. But I want it. So we have the money, the mentorship, the morale. We're going to connect people with this position. I've loved what you've grown. I also want to make this next part a lot about me. So I do remember walking between 15th and 16th and Walnut, and you calling me up maybe a few years ago saying, should I get an associate? Is it time to hire an associate? I don't know if I have enough patience for an associate. Okay. So I do want to share, you get credit because you want to be the people. I wanted to pick up the phone. I didn't send you to voicemail. And, I don't think there was any paid coaching or anything as part of it. It was just a conversation we were having. And do you remember that? I was like, when someone says that to me, my answer is yes, you're ready. 90% of the time.
Yeah.
So you needed a little
push.
Yes.
And
what's now been the most rewarding part of having an associate dentist? Could you imagine practicing alone?
My current associate, Bree Albers, is just amazing. She's, I don't want to practice alone. And, our practice ownership journey went a little off script because I bought an 8-out practice for me and my wife. And my wife, after this year, likely will not be a practicing clinical dentist. So, and not from medical stuff, just from hey, she has passions in other areas of life. And so long story short, Bree came on board in 23. It's just been awesome practicing with another person that is also willing to grow. And, we treatment plan very similarly. Overall, it's just been a great experience.
And I appreciate you sharing this. And it's self-interest for both of us and sharing both of us. I mean, it's wild to me that I was at a mastermind and someone, I'll keep it, it's a confidential thing, but he said something so valuable at the mastermind. And I wish I'm going to open it. He held up his hand and he said, I'm tired of my entire life resting on this hand. And that is so powerful, right?
Wow.
And it doesn't mean that your hand is going to break. What if your hand wants to go on vacation, right? So it doesn't have to be that you're going to be injured and can never practice. But when you literally and figuratively hire an associate, you now have another hand in every way, shape of hand. And the technical expertise built into these hands as dentists is amazing and awful at the same time. Because the awful part is, I say to my front desk sometimes, Christian, I think you misbilled the procedure code here. Can we just fix it? And they go, oh, thanks for pointing out, Paul. I go, oh, could you help me with this extraction? I go, oh, that's illegal, right? And that story is true, right? This is the hand for dentists that makes the office go. And now you have 2 of them. You're looking for a third one.
Well, I think it was Chris Green or Cody talks about 3 is free. Not from the practice owner standpoint, but for everyone, because checking 4 hygienists with a single doctor is not a very fun day. If you've ever done it, you know, if you know, you know. And, I think having three doctors in a practice really allows for so much flexibility. Maybe you want to drop down to 3 days a week as an associate, and that's totally cool, but that's hard to find sometimes at a two doctor practice, or a DSO. And we are certainly not a DSO. But finding a private practice where you're able to have that flexibility is just, it's not super common.
Yeah, I mean, these small groups are the future of dentistry. Someone said this 8 years ago. Oh, yeah, it was me, right? When I'm not saying I'm the only one who said it, but I have role modeled it in my own group with multiple dentists. I have said that there is and it's never become more true with all the challenges happening with financing for private equity. There's something between a solo GP and a giant DSO that can provide space for dentists to learn, laugh, and feel less alone, survive, thrive, and not cry. And you're creating it, right? You might have 3 dentists, 4 dentists. Jason Norrie could have 20 dentists. And these small groups are still driven by the owner, which is you. And I'm just going to use an example for people to learn. Can your associates text you a question whenever they want?
Yeah.
Are you often, not all the time, but often physically in the office for them to knock on your door and ask you a question?
Yeah.
Right.
I'm there on my day off, usually fixing something.
I was interviewing Mary Margaret Vaughn. I love her. And
I love her.
She did an interview like this, which we're going to release soon. And I said, oh, do you do your admin day at the office? Because my brother doesn't do his admin day at the office. And there's pros and cons to that, right? And, it's at different growth phases. But she goes, I do it at the office. And I put red or green, whether people can knock on the door, but no one ever listens when it's red. It was funny. She's like, so I do think, but I understand there's pros and cons. So when you're a dentist at the office on their day off is so valuable to an associate for morale, money, and mentorship and decision-making, right? And I think that what you've created, you should be proud of. People can text Virginia Beach to 215-798-9897 to learn more about this opportunity. I want to leave a little time. Is there anything we missed that you want to record so that people know more about your position, DSI, soccer, anything?
I'm looking for a center midfielder that's left-footed. No, I'm just kidding. What makes an associate stand out, I think, is really an important point here. Clinical skills definitely matter, but I can help someone build skill if that's what they're needing. What I'm really looking for, going back to the morale piece, someone that's has humility, someone that is curious, someone that has ownership, and someone who has strong communication or curiosity about improving their communication. I think that soft skills are so under taught, and our case acceptance for patients is like 40%. And we spend a lot of time with our patients. And so if you are not a strong communicator and really don't have a willingness to learn that, it would not be a good fit for you.
I think that's so key. I'm also going to share some value with you as my mentee, and you always share with me. And I said this to Todd Fleischman, and he loved it. Can we please stop calling them soft skills and start calling them success skills? Because
that's great, too.
Success skills. Stop calling them soft skills because it's not the right word. They are success skills. I don't clinically do dentisting right now, but until my first day, till the end of that, I have been complimented 0 times on my crown preps. 0 times. One person said, I just want to let you know, amazing taper. But people said, oh, you explain things so well, right? One of my most transformative cases said, you let me ask as many questions as I want, right? And so what I'm sharing is your ability to communicate with everybody in the operatory and outside of the operatory is your success skills. And working on that is something you have to want to do. Hear me?
Wait, what? Sorry.
I said working on that is something you have to want to do.
Oh,
not
facts.
Be forced to do. You have to say, just as I have this from DSI here, it's a great day to have a difficult conversation.
I have that on my desk too.
And it's an associate here. It's like, hey, I know you feel confident in what you're saying, but the way you're communicating is why patients are not coming back.
Yeah.
And those are the difficult, but the growth that people can have inside of themselves, and it's because dental school never talks about it. I can't remember one time them ever talking about how to talk to anyone.
No. Yeah. And I think that, so I was a bartender right before I became a dentist. And I did that for the sole reason of just getting in front of random people as much as possible to be able to have conversations and just relate to people on, I mean, obviously I wasn't a dentist back then, but not even about dentistry or the restaurant, but just about them and their lives. And at that point, it was probably about getting tips because I was living paycheck to paycheck. Yeah. At that point, that's really helped develop these soft skills to be able to, tell a patient, hey, your case is going to be $50,000, right? So, and that's not an easy thing to necessarily say, but I can teach how to do that in a way that's not salesy.
And I love this conversation. I want to end a few minutes. We got another one on it, but I want to add this. Was a restaurant server for many years, and that's what helped me with this. And sadly, my mentor, who I'll be, talking about, just passed away at the age of 86. And I went to Shiv, amazing guy. And they said he always, when he was with you, and he showed interest, with you as a person. And one of the things that I would teach people, this was my line for patients all the time, and you can use it tomorrow in your associates. When someone would sit down for the first 2 seconds of a procedure, I would say, hey, I know this is the most fun part of your day, but do you have anything else fun planned today? And it just was a moment of laughter. And they go, oh, yeah, my grandkids are coming in. And obviously, I'm taking the risk if they have something that is, I don't know, sorrowful, like you said. Yeah. But, it just I position, like, I know this is the most fun thing you're doing today, but, like, do you have anything else fun planned for the rest of the day? Right, and it just lets their brain go, oh, my gosh, I'm meeting my kids for lunch. Oh, my gosh. Or they can be like, no, I just have to go back to work, right? And it just shows interest in something other than their teeth. Be most interested in their teeth, but not only interested in their teeth. And when you just show it's micro interest. We're not real therapists. We're not real life coaches. There's no time to learn why their sister won't talk to them anymore. Right?
Yeah.
You just have these.
It is pretty crazy though, some of these conversations.
Yeah. Oh, because we're a captive audience, but I just position it as fun. I don't say, do you have anything else to do today? I say, oh, I know this is the most fun, laugh. It's not. What other fun things you have planned today? And then I'm working, right? And it just shows. And I did it over and over again. And if you cannot, if you cannot master that, you will suffer as a dentist, no matter how much money you make.
Agreed.
You will suffer.
Yeah, I agree.
Because whether you're seeing 10 patients or 30 patients, it is draining to process so many people, and you've got to control that conversation in a fun way.
Optimism is one of our core values, and I 1000% agree with that.
Well, thanks so much for sharing. People can reach out to us at dentistjobconnect.com to learn more about this position. Christian, hang around for a minute, but thanks so much for being here today.
Thanks.